What's up, everybody? Welcome to Don't Give Up with Jacob. Today, I have a special guest joining me on my show. Not only that, she's also a neurodivergent social coach with ADHD and helps translate the social world for students. She helps neurodivergent kids make friends and is the founder of Starfish Social Club and the author of Social Skills is Cancelled. She's also a speaker, presenter, trainer, podcast host, board member at Brian Brain Nation, and the power owner of an ADHD brain. So, with that, it is my pleasure to welcome to my show, Steph West.
Thanks, Jacob. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I'm so glad you were able to make it on my show today. You really sound like an interesting woman to talk to.
Thank you.
All right, so got a couple of questions to ask you about your everyday life and your everyday career. You ready to get this show started?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. So, first off, I want you to give a little introduction about yourself and tell my audience what you do for an everyday life and what inspired you to be doing work like this.
Absolutely. I call myself a neurodivergent social coach. I help autistic and ADHD kids make friends. And so I run social skills groups in person. I live in San Antonio, Texas, and also via Zoom. I was diagnosed with ADHD as an adult. So I didn't have my diagnosis when I was growing up. And once I got my diagnosis, it helped me relate to my students on an even better level. I created my own curriculum, which is what I use with my students. And my goal is to help my students understand how other people perceive the social world so that we can see things how other people see them. And to help adults understand how my students perceive the social world so that ideally we're all supporting each other.
Wow. Definitely sounds like an interesting career. I think having friends is what everybody could use nowadays because I bet people would get pretty lonely in this world without any friends. And I think friends are a great way to share social skills with and to also share stories about your everyday life with.
Absolutely. Research shows that our relationships are one of the biggest factors when it comes to our mental health, and the quality of our lives. And so, some people, just like any other skill, some people struggle more than others when it comes to being able to make connections with other people, have conversations. And so that's where I come in. My goal is to make all of that easier for my students so that they can build relationships with people that they want to.
Wow. Definitely sounds like a very neat thing to be doing. And now I'm going to ask you, how does ADHD show up as a strength in your everyday work?
It definitely helps me see the world the way that my students see the world. I think I understand neurodivergent kids better than I understand neurotypical kids and adults. It's easy for me to understand how my students perceive things and what they're thinking and why certain things are said or done. It makes perfect sense to my brain. And it also helps me translate that for their parents or their teachers who often maybe don't understand how their kids are perceiving the world or what they're thinking. It helps me translate between two social languages, which is kind of how I see it, that some of us are just speaking a different social language. And so it helps me be a translator and bridge that back and forth.
Wow. Definitely sounds very neat. I also see the world in ways that some other people don't see it, but that's okay if I don't see it in ways that people don't, because everybody sees and looks at the world in different ways. And that also includes having special needs, which are different than everyone else. And that's good about the world.
Absolutely. We do. You're right. Everybody sees the world differently. We all have our own perspective. And when we don't recognize that, that's when we have disagreements and miscommunications, when we don't recognize that everybody else has a different perspective than us. And so when we can share our perspective with other people, when we can tell them what we're thinking or how we're feeling, and they can do the same, we can solve all kinds of problems. It's just that we typically don't recognize that other people perceive things differently than we do.
That's right. And that's what's so good about our universe is that everyone sees things in a different way that some other people do, because not everybody is the same. And that's what really causes us to look at the world in different ways.
Absolutely.
All right, so I am now going to ask you, what are some social skills that students struggle with the most? Because I feel like as a high schooler with a neurodivergency, I feel like it's sometimes hard for me to get along with some of the other high schoolers. Don't you agree?
I do. I notice that the students I work with tend to have three types of struggles or challenges when it comes to socializing, especially with other people their age. And this is what the concept of my book is about, is these three different personality types. I gave each one of them a name and they're a character in my book. So the first one is what I call a circle. A circle is somebody who gets along with everybody. Everybody likes them. Everybody enjoys being around them, but they don't always know how to engage in conversations. They don't always know how to join what other people may be doing. They don't always recognize when they're not part of something. They might think that they are, even though they're not. And so the biggest struggle for circles tends to be knowing how to join and participate in activities and conversations. And so that's what I help circle students with, is how can we join in? How can we be part of what's happening? The second one is what I call triangle students. Triangle students often try too hard to be part of things and to be friends with everybody. And unfortunately, they sometimes get a reputation for being annoying because they're trying too hard. And so for triangle students, I work a lot on helping them recognize the social cues in different situations and helping them recognize what kinds of things make people want to be around other people and what kinds of things make us not want to be around someone else. And how can we make more of the choices that make it easier for us to make friends instead of making it harder? And the third type of student is what I call a square student. And this is somebody with social anxiety. And social anxiety is where we are concerned about what other people think about us. And so people who have social anxiety often don't talk to other people because they're anxious about other people thinking they're stupid, other people thinking they're weird. And so they typically remove themselves from social situations. And it's really hard to make friends when we're not engaging with other people. So with Square students, I help them gain more social confidence so they feel more comfortable engaging with other people their own age.
Wow. Super neat. I really appreciate how you're trying to show a difference between circle, triangle, and square students so that everyone knows what kind of friend they are, who they want to be friends with, and how they should act around friends because it's good for everyone to know who they are so that they can make the right friends to hang out with.
Absolutely. That's a great point, Jacob, is that we all have different ideas of what we would like in a friend. We have different ideas of who we would like to be friends with. And so you're right. It's helpful for us to know our own friendship personality, and it's helpful to know the friendship personalities of other people. So we can see sometimes our personalities aren't a match. And sometimes they're a really good match. We just maybe need some support in building those relationships with people that we are a good match for.
Yeah, that's right. It's always good to show respect towards other people and treat them how you'd want to be treated because that's what you really need to be a good friend. And not to mention that some of my other friends have autism or another type of neurodivergency like me. And we see things in different ways, but we still try to get along as best as we can.
Absolutely.
All right, so I am now going to ask you what is one key to building real social confidence?
Confidence is a bit tricky because most people think that you feel confident first, and then that confidence is what encourages you to go try things and do things. And it's actually the opposite. People gain confidence by trying things and doing things. So confidence doesn't come first. Confidence is the result of trying and doing things. And so the way to gain social confidence is by trying and practicing. But we want to try and practice the things that work, right? We don't want to try and practice the things that aren't going to go so well. So having a person or a group that can support that and create an emotionally safe environment for everybody who's trying and practicing, that's how we gain confidence. We gain confidence when we see that things are working and when they get easier the more that we do them. Just like, so Jacob, you're an author, you're a podcast host. The more you do those things, the more confident you feel in your ability to do them, right? And so that's where confidence comes from, is it comes from doing things. We have to start with doing. If we wait until we feel confident, we won't ever feel confident. We have to do them first.
That's right. That is 100% a very true statement. And that's why it's good to find out what you really love doing and what you truly enjoy in everyday life. And if you want to become really great at something, that's why it's always good to be confident and follow your dreams because that will really get you far in life.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. And that's why following your dreams starts with finding out what you really enjoy in your everyday life instead of just doing things that don't really make you feel comfortable. Because I feel like doing something you really enjoy and getting better and better at it is what it really takes to build confidence.
I agree, Jacob. I think we all have things that we might be good at, but we don't enjoy them. And that's hard to keep doing things that we're good at, but it's not fun. So I agree. I think following the things that are really enjoyable to you, um, you can get better at pretty much anything. And the more you enjoy it, the more you will want to get better at it. And so it builds on itself. And then that's where the confidence comes in.
Yep, that's right.